Hi guys, I am doing a tag today. I'm doing the Library Loves tag, and I was tagged by Olivia from Olivia's Catastrophe, who is fantastic and so articulate, and you should definitely watch her if you're not already. So thank you to Olivia for tagging me because I am in love with my library. It was perfectly fitting. Jumping right into the questions, the first one is, when did you first go to the library or get your first library card? I'd always been around libraries when I was young. In elementary school, I would often go to the library during recess because I was a nerd and I had no friends. But also, I remember going to the city library around like middle schoolish. But it wasn't really until later on that I realized that the library actually does have interesting books that I would want to read, because previously I had thought that the library was just like reference books and there was no fiction, which is what I mainly read. But it turned out I was very wrong, and it was probably when I first started book blogging, so in like 2016, maybe 2017, I can't quite remember. It was then that I realized that the library has a bunch of popular books that I was hearing all about on BookTube and I wanted to get in on. And that's really when I started using my library, and I haven't stopped since. I know I had a library card when I was very young. I don't even remember when I got it, but I know I had one, and when I went back, probably when I was older, it was expired, so I had it for quite a while. But I didn't really use it much until I got a bit older in college. Question 2 is, how often do you use your library? I use mine pretty much all the time. Most of my books that I read in the year are from the library because I am cheap and I don't like buying books. Especially when you have a library that's so convenient. It has all of the books that I want to read for the most part, and if it doesn't, I can request them and I don't have to pay for it. So that is fantastic. Plus, then I also don't have to store anything because I have very little space in this tiny apartment, and I'm gonna have to move at some point, and I really don't want to carry a ton of books. It's gonna be hard enough already. So I'd say I go to the library at least once or twice a month. I kind of try to plan it so that all of my holds will be ready at the same time, so I can go once, pick up all my books, and then when they're due 21 days later, I drop them off again and pick up my next set. Question 3 is, have you ever had a late or lost library book? I've never lost my library books, but I have had them late, especially in the last year. Actually, the beginning of the year in January, I had a late book because I was reading The Tiger's Daughter, but I wasn't going to finish it before I went home for the holidays. And the due date was really early in the new year when I wasn't going to be back from home yet. So I ended up taking that book with me and finishing it when I was home. But because I was in a different state when it was due, it ended up being returned a little bit late. Question 4 is, what is your favorite thing about your library? I don't really go to my library physically very much. I don't like spend time in the library. I mainly use it to pick up books. And I guess because of that, my favorite thing would be that it has pretty much every book that I want, including manga. Actually, yeah, that's my favorite thing. Their manga selection is great. It's not like fully comprehensive by any means, but it tends to have the series that I'm interested in reading for the most part. At least it has a lot of the major series, which are what get talked about the most. And I absolutely love it, especially because manga can be so very long, and I don't always enjoy every volume. Maggie, yeah. So I'm really glad I was able to read it through the library and not have to pay money for each individual volume because there are so many. But I love manga so much that I still want to read it and I enjoy it, and so I am very, very happy that my library has the funds and the means to purchase manga so that I don't have to. Question 5 is, are you a browser or do you plan what you're going to take out? And I'm definitely a planner. I don't really go in and browse. I've only actually done that once, and that was very recently in December. I probably went in and I browsed the SFF section and I ended up with some duds, so that was probably not the best option. For the most part, I place holds online and then I go pick them up when they're ready, and I spend like zero time in the library. So I definitely plan what I check out rather than just looking around for any random book. Question 6 is, name a book you took a chance on from the library, and there's literally only one at this point. Like I said, the only time I've ever browsed was in December, and it led to a not great option, which was Press Start to Play, which was edited by Daniel H. Wilson, I believe. I can't remember and I don't have it with me. But this is an anthology of sci-fi short stories related to gaming, which is very interesting to me. I love when I get to read about gaming and technology in books. But this collection just didn't really work for me. I was not really invested in any of the stories. I didn't like really any of them, so I ended up DNFing it after 10 stories. I'd never heard about it before, but since the concept was interesting, I picked it up, but it definitely didn't end up being worth the chance. Question 7 is, what is the best book you read from the library? And that's very hard because I've read most of my books from the library. I did not prepare either. So, honestly, if you just checked my top books of 2019 video, I'm pretty sure all of those were from the library. For example, I had Six Wakes on there by Mur Lafferty. I had The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. And another 3 books plus Howl's Moving Castle. Is it really bad that I can't remember what my favorite books of last year are? That's kind of really sad. I have a terrible memory, so this is why I write everything down. Oh, The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. That was also from my library. Literally, they're all from my library. All of the best books that I've read are pretty much from my library. Question 8 is, have you ever taken the same book out multiple times? If you count renewing, then yes. I don't think I've had... Oh, no, actually. The Wheel of Time series I listened to on audiobook for the most part, and I took out Eye of the World multiple times, and I am currently taking out The Great Hunt multiple times, which is the second book in the series. I was listening to it in December and didn't get through it all because it's, 26 hours? So I have it on hold again. I'm going to be taking it out for a second time, and we'll see how far I get at that point. So with renewals and also just putting in holds again, yes, I have taken out books from the library multiple times. Question 9 is, have you read a good book set in a library? I can't really think of one. I know there's a book that I am very interested in that's set in a library. It's The Invisible Library by, oh, my memory, Genevieve Cogman. Got it. Yeah, so that one is, I guess it's not fully set in a library. Library is an important part, it's obviously in the title. But it's about people who work at a library who travel around time to collect stories from different time periods. So I'm assuming it'll be traveling to other places, but also the library should be a main focus of it as well. Otherwise, the only other thing I can think of is the library in the Discworld series at the Unseen University. A lot of the books mention the library and have a few scenes within the library, but nothing's really set fully in the library. Okay, quick dinner break later, and we're on to the next question. Question 10 is, have you used your library's ebook and audiobook options? And yes, I have, so very much. I think maybe half of the books that I get out from the library are audiobooks, and I never thought that would happen because I never thought I would be someone who listens to audiobooks. My listening retention is not very high, and so I didn't think audiobooks would work for me. But because I had my library and I was able to try some for free without having to pay for Audible, I figured out that yes, audiobooks can actually work for me, and they help me read a lot more. Actually, I spent all day today at work listening to an audiobook from the library, so there you go, using it already today. I do occasionally check out ebooks from the library as well, but because that's not my preferred method of reading anything, I don't really do it that often. I mainly get ebooks when I also have the audiobook and it's a fantasy novel, because I find looking up the spellings of things or going back for details in ebooks much easier than trying to skip back in time in an audiobook. But either way, I am in love with my library's audiobook and ebook selection. I use the Libby app basically every single day and I'm so happy for it. Question 11 is, which is the best library you've been to? I'd probably have to say Yale's library, just because the architecture was really interesting. As far as its functionality, I have no idea because I only took a tour of the campus. I didn't go to Yale, so I can't speak to that much, but the actual physical library itself was beautiful. I also really like UCSD's library, the one that looks like a hand holding up books. I think it's really interesting. Again, I just like really interesting library architecture. I know libraries offer many more resources than just checking out books, but I haven't really used them before. I actually used to work in a library and I helped to organize a bunch of events there, so I know that they have all of these different events and they have different spaces for different things, but I haven't really found the need to use any of them. So it's just part of the library that I haven't really explored, which is why I can only speak to interesting architecture for the best library I've been to. Number 12 is what would make you use your local library more. Honestly, I don't think I need to use it more. I use it so very much. I probably read 85% library books for the past 2 years. So it's not really something that's underutilized for me. I really love my library and I'm so thankful for it. If anything, it would just be those extra amenities that I would be needing to look more into, and I think the main thing to get me to do that would probably be if it was a little bit closer. The library is only a mile away from me at the moment, but I don't like driving in this city, and the walk is pretty much all uphill and it's very strenuous, so it works as exercise, I guess, and that should be also a motivating factor, but I'm lazy and I need to change that. If it was just a little bit more convenient, I would probably go there more often, but as it stands, I think I'm pretty good on using my library anyway. And that's the end of the tag, so I will be tagging a few people down in the description. And thank you again to Olivia for tagging me. I am more than happy to spread the library love, and I will see you later. Bye.